to working the beat of Southland to Gotham City, where he first voiced Bruce Wayne in the animated film Batman Year One, to Gotham, where he plays Detective Jim Gordon. Ladies and gentlemen, Ben McKenzie.
That was dramatic.
Welcome to Boston.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So before we go right into Gotham, I want to talk about Southland a little bit, which is a phenomenal show.
Oh, thanks.
And your character was great. And on that show, you played police officer Ben Sherman.
Yeah.
And you shot on location in Los Angeles.
Right.
And you shoot Gotham in New York.
Yeah.
What is the experience of playing a cop in LA versus playing a cop in the streets of New York?
Well, they're pretty different. The shows are pretty different, obviously. Any fans of Southland out there? Hey, nice.
It's on DVD. If you haven't seen it, it's phenomenal.
I think it's on Hulu now too. Southland was striving to be an uber realistic cop show, so I was a patrol cop in that, and we were in some pretty rough neighborhoods in South and East LA, housing projects and places that were pretty intense. So that experience was more
realistic.
Yeah, turbulence might be the right word. And then in Gotham, it's just a hoot. Where let's see, where was I filming this last week? We were in Midtown. I've been on rooftops, like overlooking the Gotham skyline, and it's great. We're in every borough in the city. Studios are in Brooklyn. It's a lot of fun.
You were the voice of Bruce Wayne in the animated film Batman Year One.
Yes, it was.
Was that your first introduction to the character?
Well, I was a huge fan of the comic. Year One, and so yeah, the call came out of the blue, and I of course said yes, and it's one of my most favorite experiences I've had working. Bryan Cranston did the voice of Gordon. We had some amazing actors, yeah, and it was my first real experience doing voice acting, in a big part. I've done like a commercial before, but I needed, I wanted to really just use my voice in a role, and that was so much fun, and I'm really proud of it.
Now, Andrea Romano is the voice director of the show.
Yes.
She usually has the actors act together. Did you work opposite? Brian?
Unfortunately, schedule-wise, we couldn't do it, yeah.
Watching the film, did any of his performance kind of influence your take on Gordon?
In a way, it did, yeah. I mean, when I was talking about doing Gotham, I reached out to Jeff Johns at DC and asked him to send me a bunch of material. So he sent me a bunch of things, including Gotham Central and Long Halloween and a bunch of stuff. And I asked him for sort of references on young Gordon, and he's like, what there is, we're in a way doing a different version of, because we're obviously creating a scenario where Gordon meets Bruce at the scene of his parents' murder, which doesn't exist in the comics. So outside of that massive departure, so he basically said, this guy is, we cast you for a reason. We think you play this sort of character well, which is a moral, a moral man in an immoral world, and go with it and work with the writers and just interpret it as you see fit. So that's basically what I've done. But what Bryan did in Year One was give a gravitas and a realness and naturalness to that performance that I definitely cribbed from a little bit.
Did you look at any of the other actors, like performances like Gary Oldman or?
I'm a huge Gary Oldman fan, but yeah.
It's not much like Pat Hingle, but I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Which I did. Well, I loved the live action series growing up as a kid. I used to watch in the afternoons, but yeah, not so much Pat Hingle.
Right.
I mean, the problem with doing anything relating to any of those guys is that they're obviously portraying Gordon at a later period of his life, and I need to come into it like my character, my version of Gordon is so much younger. He needs to be more he can't be beaten down yet. He can't be so jaded that he has nowhere to go, basically. Like the process of Gotham, the series, is he's going to become more and more burdened by the stuff that he sees, and in a way, like his ascension up the ranks of the GCPD is marked by the descension of Gotham into complete anarchy. So he has to fall apart a bit as the city falls apart, and we can't start with him already broken. You know what I mean?
Right. Now season 3 is subtitled Heroes Will Fall.
Yes.
Which starts...
that doesn't sound good for me.
No, it doesn't sound good. And actually things didn't look so great for you at the end of season 2.
No.
Where the monsters taking the streets and you had left to go find Lee.
Yes.
Where is Jim in the beginning of season 3, and where's the relationship with you and Lee?
Well, I think I can talk about this. And I'm going to anyway. So yeah, there you go. Spoilers. So he does go down to find Lee. He's had a moment with Strange where Strange's brainwashing has actually given him some clarity, oddly enough, and he's realized that his real purpose is to find some reunification with Lee. So he goes down there. It's Gotham. Doesn't necessarily go well, and he finds himself back in Gotham. And we move ahead 6 months, and this all happens very quickly in season 3. And 6 months in the future in Gotham, things are not going well. The monsters are wreaking utter havoc, and Jim Gordon is a bounty hunter. Jim Gordon is hunting them down for cash. He's not in the GCPD. He's his own independent, what would they call it now? An independent subcontractor, yeah. And he's just, disillusioned, getting paid, and drinking a lot. And
Healthy place.
yeah, he's in a little bit of a dark space.
Harvey's tutoring him.
Yeah, exactly. Even Harvey is like, whoa, hey, easy. And when Harvey Bullock is telling you to take it easy, you're in a bad spot. And then, into that mix will come new love interests and a possible reunification with Lee, but possibly not. And new villains, including the Mad Hatter. And of course, the Court of Owls. So the Court of Owls is prominently featured in season 3.
Are they driving the season?
Yeah, they are. They're that sort of sinister force behind the real, what really runs Gotham, and Jim will become, sort of inexorably drawn to them and tightly connected to them.
Okay. One thing I've noticed about this interpretation of the character, which Jim is from Gotham City. Mm-hmm. In the comics, it came from.
Yeah.
We've never seen any family, friends.
Right.
His apartment.
Yep. Yeah, which he does have. He has his own apartment. Season 3, the lead actor of the series actually has his own set. Thank you. Thank you. I'm proud of you.
Are those things we may explore? We get to see some people who's passed ever, or you don't know?
Yes, we are. Actually, this season we're specifically exploring that. Yeah, the backstory that we created, or maybe I just created it for myself, but the way I always thought of it is Jim was born in Gotham, like you said. His father was this revered district attorney, and a real champion of the people. Or at least so Jim thought. We are not necessarily sure that was actually. Anyway.
Thomas Wayne's who had a lot of
they did. And they had interaction. Anyway, Jim's father died in front of him in a car wreck. Jim was in the car with him. And, anyone who's seen the pilot knows this, that I talk to Bruce about losing my dad. Anyway. And then in my backstory, his mother took Jim out of Gotham to the country to get away from the city. And so he was raised in a sort of an idyllic situation outside, which is why he comes in with this sort of moral, do-gooder kind of attitude, only to find Gotham as this. Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, it's funny. We could actually talk about that at some point, but the character was originally conceived to be even more naive than it ultimately became. And I actually, it was one of the first discussions I had with Bruno. I felt like he was too far in that direction initially, so the script got removed, but got worked back to a slightly more jaded person. Just a person, in our version, he served overseas and he saw action, and so if he comes back from war, you can't be too wild-eyed. You have to be a little bit more seasoned. So anyway, yeah, that's why he doesn't know as many people in Gotham. Is he left Gotham when he was like 10, okay. And he doesn't come back until basically when we find him in the pilot.
With Jim as a bounty hunter, how does that affect his relationship with Harvey specifically and with Bruce?
He and Bruce have not interacted in a while when we pick up season 3, because the promise that he made to him to get behind, see what's behind his parents' murder is, if not resolved, of course, it's somewhat satisfied by the fact that it was all Hugo Strange is obviously a huge part of it. Bullock and Jim are, will be friends for life, but Bullock is still on the force and Jim isn't, and Jim is not exactly in a positive place. So they're in a, it's like when your buddy's going through a hard time just short of intervention and you kind of give him some space, I guess.
Jim has also had, since the pilot, a very complicated relationship with Penguin.
Yes.
With Jim not a cop, and Fishback.
Yeah.
And monsters everywhere.
Right.
Is Penguin an ally?
Yeah, he might be. That specific trio is a very important part of the first 2 episodes of season 3.
One of the other new villains that's already been announced is a revamped Poison Ivy.
Yes.
And you have Mad Hatter. With Hugo Strange's resurrection experiments, might we see Jerome?
We might, yeah. We can see a lot of, we feel like we've now roughly fleshed out the rules of this world that we've, helped interpret, create, whatever you want to call it. And that's given us a certain amount of freedom now that we have the rules to, as long as they pass through Strange's laboratory or are in fact affected by it, we can play with people's mortality.
So you can bring back the Waynes and set.
Yeah, exactly, right. Well, yeah, maybe not that, but there is a the other Bruce that we saw at the end of season 2
with the long hair.
With the long hair.
Yeah.
The dark.
Rock and roll Bruce.
The rock and roll Bruce. I think it's goth
Metal
Bruce. Yeah, metal Bruce. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Metal Bruce. Soft metal Bruce.
A little Yanni-esque. Yanni Bruce.
I would never say that.
In some of the press you did with San Diego, you mentioned that Jim would be possibly taking on a mantle of another iconic DC character.
Yeah.
Now,
I
have two theories.
Oh, God.
Might he be a lesser known character, like say Talon of the Court of Owls?
That's interesting.
Or would he possibly take on the mantle that could serve as an inspiration for Bruce to actually put on a costume?
Now that's interesting too. Those are both very interesting ideas.
Tell Bruno to call me.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have opened up my trap then, so I'm definitely not going to do it now. But I don't take it back. That's all I'll say about it right now.
Was this something that's going to be, if whatever this is, will it happen later in the season or mid-season? Yeah,
later in the season. And I was probably a little premature, but I'm just too excited.
Might Bruce put on a Robin costume?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just excited, and so yeah.
And I think the one question that I think everyone, will we ever resolve the Wayne murder?
I mean, I think the Wayne murder is sort of the backstory of it, or not the backstory. That's the wrong use of that. The red herring in a way. It's like the thing that sort of gets us going. MacGuffin, that's the right word. It's the MacGuffin. It's the thing that gets us in. It's not so much because I don't think in a way we did. Like we saw the guy that pulled the trigger, but that's not the issue. That's not the important.
Conspiracy.
Exactly. I mean, the point of
why.
of Gotham is that there's this dark spirit, and not to get too existential about it, but like all of Batman in that world is all about this darkness that lurks just beneath the surface of all of us and is capable of coming out. And so the whys and hows and of who actually pulled the trigger is not the interesting part.
Do you have a particular castmate that you just love doing scenes with?
Why don't you ask me who I hate? I don't hate anybody. We have a great cast. I can't pick one. I mean, everybody is honestly on every other show I've ever been on. Actually, that's not true. Most of the time.
So let's talk about the OC.
Yeah, right. There's usually a bad apple or two, and there are not any on Gotham. There are none. We have just a great cast, talented people who work hard, show up on time, do their job, and want to be better every day. And, I'm proud of it.
Would Hugo Strange resurrect Marissa from the OC?
Carry her dying body, her reanimated body through a car crash. Yeah, I don't know.
Are there any other DC characters that have been discussed about possibly coming into the show, or any other villains that?
There are. I am not sure I'm at liberty to discuss other villains coming on at this point, but
The Tweedle Brothers was also mentioned.
Yes, that's
Tweedledee, Tweedledum.
Yes, that's probably going to happen too.
Okay. So, some audience questions? If you do, line up at the microphone there. By height.
Oh, just kidding.
I'm kidding. Purple hair, you want to start?
Okay. So I was wondering one thing. Mostly within the sets and what you can see, usually they're using old flip phones or paper files or standard projectors instead of things like computers and stuff. So it's always very subtly done, but would you say that Gotham is probably a period piece, like taking place within maybe the late 80s, early 90s? It's never specifically said, which is good, again, for the subtlety, and being able to set up the timeline for like when Batman would be around and stuff, but would you say that that's probably the case, like around roughly that time period?
It's an origin story. It is a period piece in the sense that it takes place in the past. We don't define the time frame as any decade in particular because it's the world of Gotham, which is an alternate reality that is Earth-ish, similar to our world, but it's not our world. I mean, it is our world, but it isn't, right? It's our, the way Bruno Heller described it, who created the show, is sort of the dreams of an 8-year-old boy and the nightmares of an 80-year-old man. It's a universe that has gravity and cars drive and operate on the same physics that the rest of us, but we want to play with the chronology of it and the time period of it. So some of the style references are 80s, some are 90s, some are 50s, some are 60s. The real credit there goes to our incredibly talented production designers and set dressers and costume designers, and also Danny Cannon, who directed the pilot, who has a real great understanding of sort of references stylistically from the run the gamut from the 50s to the 90s.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How we doing, man?
Good, man. Thank you.
I was just wondering, what are we ever gonna see the Joker? Like, is he gonna come?
The full Joker?
Well, like who's
Or
gonna become? Yeah, who's gonna become?
No, well, we won't see Joker as Joker because DC is very specific that can't happen until there is a Batman
Exactly.
and he throws acid in his face. So, so we can have proto Jokers like Jerome, and Jerome could come back. Maybe.
So basically, most likely will be.
We'll see what happens. Thank you.
This week, I think it was mentioned that Harley Quinn may be coming in the series.
That's a possibility as well, yeah.
Like your ex-girlfriend.
Oh, Barbara? Maybe, or she might be new. You know, that's a good question.
Barbara's not a very sane woman.
She is not a very sane woman. That much is true.
Hello.
Hi.
Who's your favorite DC superhero and who's your favorite DC supervillain?
Ooh, superhero and supervillain. I do love Batman. I've always been a big Batman fan. Supervillain. I actually love the Riddler. I've always loved the Riddler. Thank you. And Enigma will be a very big part of this season. And he and the Penguin have a great plotline that I won't spoil.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one of our deaf fans who'd like to ask you a question.
Oh, great, sure.
When is Joker gonna come back?
When is Joker gonna come back? Yeah, well, I can't tell you exactly when, but sometime. That's the best I can do. I'm sorry. Thanks for the question.
Hi, my name is Javier.
One second.
I'm sorry.
I have two questions, and one is, do you want to learn American Sign Language?
Sure.
And do you like deaf people?
Of course I do.
What's your favorite sport?
My favorite sport? Probably American football.
Mine is basketball, just saying.
Oh, basketball. Oh, sorry. I don't say sorry in sign language. This. So you're halfway there. 0.002% there. Hey.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Javier. My question is, what was your favorite scene to shoot?
Ooh, I remember the first scene inside the GCPD in the pilot when we walked onto that set. That is unbelievably beautiful set, 2-story high set, which is very unusual.
Is that a set or location?
It is a set that they actually made everything about that set look like it's from sort of. God, it could even be from like the late 19th. Yeah, it could be the 20s and 30s, or it could be even like the late 19th century. I mean, it's the wrought iron, steel beams that they have are.
Platform, the Death Star.
Yeah, everything about it is absolutely beautiful. And so that scene in the pilot where basically my character is introduced and there's a crazy guy, a suspect's been brought in. He disarms a cop and starts waving a gun around and threatening to kill her in the middle of the station, and Jim gets over on him. You know, that I will always remember. I remember I'm very heroically supposed to walk down these stairs in the middle of it. Stop, everybody, stop, freeze. So hold on, I got this. So inevitably, I'm incredibly nervous. Inevitably, in the first rehearsal, I have to come down these stairs. You know where this is going. I'm like, stop! Thunk, thunk, thunk. I basically almost completely wipe out. Thankfully, all of my wonderful background actors did not laugh at me, and neither did Danny Cannon, the director. But it was a moment of like seeing the grandeur and the possibility of that world and of the show itself was really inspiring. And everyone who works on the show, not just in front of the camera but behind the camera, is a part of that. And so Doug Craner, who designed the original sets, who's now unfortunately passed, is someone who I admire and appreciate for what he did for the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Season 3. You need a mustache?
Season 3, mustache? No, season 10. We're so lucky.
Hi. What are 3 villains that you would bring to Gotham?
3 villains that I'd bring to Gotham. I would bring. I'd bring some Mad Hatter. I'd bring some Killer Croc, maybe. Yeah.
You saw someone that could be a proto-Croc at the end of season 2.
Maybe. And I'd love to have Harley Quinn. I think Harley Quinn would be super fun. So.
She could be your girlfriend, Barbara.
Is she crazy enough?
Yeah.
Yeah.
An interesting dynamic for your character.
Yes, it would be. Yes, it would be. Well, and then there's also that child that Jim and Barbara have in the comics. I wonder if that's going to happen.
No, actually, did Lee actually lose the baby, or
That's an interesting theory. That's an interesting theory.
or is the baby elsewhere?
Interesting theory. Very interesting.
Hi. I have two questions actually. How is your daughter doing?
Great, thank you.
Awesome. Also, when you go into those really dark places as Jim Gordon, like when he was beating up the flamingo, how do you get to that emotion?
That's a hard thing to explain. Surprisingly easily. You know, I don't know how that works exactly. I think there's something that just sort of clicks over. That was a good episode, and I think getting into Jim's anger and frustration and true, I think he has sort of a little bit of a bloodlust actually, which I think is something that, from what I've talked to with guys and men and women who've gone overseas and served and seen action and been a part of that, it's sometimes hard to let go of what they've done, and when they come home they sort of want more, or they want to go back sometimes. Strangely enough, some of them don't, but some of them do. And I think Jim's got a little bit of that. You know, he seeks it out, and so that's an important part of his character that I think we'll continue to explore.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The first season we saw most of the villainy in Gotham we saw was organized crime.
Right.
Will that ever come back in any capacity?
I mean, not in the same way. The idea that Bruno had was that there used to be a sense of completely immoral order in Gotham, where the crime families actually ran the city, and they imposed a certain an arrangement on the city, and everyone was a part of that arrangement.
Did their part.
They did their part, and they took their piece, and they looked the other way when they needed to, and there was a weird order. And when that fell apart, due to what we portrayed in the first season of the show, and the war between the families, along with the death of the Waynes, it was the tipping point into the anarchy, the downward spiral that would ultimately manifest in the anarchy that necessitated a Batman. And so that's like the first step is the crime families, and the next step is Hugo Strange's laboratory and the unleashing of the monsters, and then now we're in the third.
Which is the fall of the hero.
Yeah, the fall of the heroes, indeed.
And we also see the rise of the hero.
Yeah, I mean, they can't fall forever. they're resurrected in a new form, you know, perhaps. Like a butterfly. Dangerous, dark, evil butterfly.
Sir, quick question. When you were growing up, what inspired you to become an actor? Or who?
Yes. My uncle's a playwright and a screenwriter, and was an actor before he became those. And when I was about 12 years old, I saw his first hit play on Broadway, and it blew my mind. I really didn't start acting until college. I was a high school football player and a sort of regular non-actor, and whatever, normal, regular person, and then I decided to become crazy. And so that inspired me, yeah, having access to it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, if you could give Jim like a single piece of advice, what would it be?
Jeez. Smile every once in a while. I mean, one piece of advice is hard to nail down. Take it easy, relax, stop killing people. Stay out of Gotham. Move to Florida. It's lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Ooh, the ability to read minds, I think, would be interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, man.
Hey, so in season 2, you got a chance to work with Michael Chiklis, and he's known for playing characters who are incredibly intense. Is he like that in real life, and how did you have to, when you met a character that seemed more intense than Gordon, what was the challenge of that?
He's a total ham. He's a total like goofball, sweetheart. So it's actually, was really easy, and I'm a big fan of his. From The Shield and other things. Yes. And he's also known for playing characters who seem good but become bad. So that's interesting. It's an interesting thing to point out as we go into season 3.
So wait, even though he's a cop, he could possibly... That's very interesting.
That's very interesting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Hi, how's it going?
Yeah.
2 quick questions. 1, if you could act with anyone, if you had a chance to, who would it be? And 2, even though I'm a huge fan, I know you have critics out there, how do you deal with those guys?
The block function on Twitter is very effective. I wish that existed in the real world. And negativity, you just gotta tune it out. I mean, as much as you can. I think anyone who is serious about what they do is their own harshest critic. So it's not like I haven't had any thought that anyone could possibly say about anything. I'm too short, too ugly, too not good, to whatever the thing they could say.
No mustache.
No mustache, yeah. Your facial hair is just terrible. So that's on that question. Of course, I jumped to that. What was the first part? It was who could I act with? God, if I could have had the chance before he passed, I would have loved to work with Paul Newman. He's a hero of mine. Had the chance to work with Al Pacino on a movie, and we'll always remember that. As I go along, I enjoy the people for who they are more than just the whatever ends up on screen. So I'm really digging this because all the people who work on it are good people.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Thank you.
The first thing I saw you on was Junebug.
Yeah.
Which was just a charming, great little movie. Featuring Lois Lane.
That's right. I was Oscar nominated for that performance.
Do you have any interest in doing more indie film at all?
I do, yeah. I just did a cameo in a movie called Felt about the FBI agent who was Deep Throat, Mark Felt, with Liam Neeson. That I guess would qualify as an indie. Great, amazing cast, and so yeah, I'd like to. It's mainly a scheduling issue with the series commitments, but yeah, I'd love to.
Sure.
Just congratulations on an awesome TV show. The sets, the design, the cast. You must feel like you won the lottery or something to get into this thing.
I do.
I've never seen.
It keeps paying out. I can keep winning it.
I've never seen the OC, but this must be way better than that.
No comment.
Well, just alone, the 2 women you get to have relationships in that show. This is unbelievable.
Well, on that score, the OC was fine.
I have a real question.
That's not my knock on it. No, all experiences are great, and in all seriousness, I've had the opportunity to. I know you have another question, but just to clarify real quick before I get bashed by somebody. All 3 shows that I've had the opportunity to be a part of, the OC, Southland, and Gotham, are so distinct and so unique, so different from one another that have given me different things, and I'm grateful for all of those things. Anyway, sir.
The way you make this show is just amazing. As you mentioned, the sets. I'll just ask one question. What are you going to do about the boy that plays Bruce Wayne? Because he's going to get tall all of a sudden.
He is tall. He grew. We make jokes about it in the beginning of season 3. He grew probably, 3 inches between the end of season 2 and the beginning of season 3. So he's basically almost my height now, which sucks. I'm like, just take your shoes off or something.
You can add something to your shoes.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good idea. He's a terrific actor, and we're playing with Bruce's evolution in season 3, and how he creates this alternate personality for himself. So that will definitely be a big part of season 3.
Are you moving the timeline along or something? Because he's aging faster than the...
Well, we jumped forward 6 months, so that does help that. We we have the opportunity to do that if we want to jump forward. But at this point, we're maintaining a pretty standard, time frame.
Thank you very much, and thank everyone for that show. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
I think we need to wrap things up.
Awesome.
And
Thank you very much.
so much.
Thank you.